Hello guys, Adam here from Switch Indie Fix, and I am bringing you the Switch Indie Fix podcast episode number 19. Today is the 13th of January, it's a Sunday. I'm recording a little bit later than usual this weekend because I had some family commitments to attend to, but nevertheless I've wanted to get a podcast out to you because it's the first week this year, or I'd say the first week in the last maybe like 6 weeks, that we actually have quite a bit of indie news, which is exciting. So just a reminder guys, this is the Switch Indie Fix podcast coming to you hopefully every week this year. We'll see. You can check us out on Twitter at Switch Indie Fix, or if you have any questions, which I do need, I'm starting to run out of my backlogs of questions, please hit up switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast. There you can just fill out a simple Google form, and maybe I'll read them out, your questions out on the show. That's basically all the housekeeping this week. I don't know if you guys saw, actually, now that I think about it, we had our first ever guest post on switchindiefix.com last week on Thursday, which is pretty awesome. One of our community members, Bastian Inuk, he was also on episode 14 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. He wrote his first ever review for us, 99 Vidas Definitive Edition, which is like a brawler, an old school 2D brawler. So if you have any interest in that, or if you just want to support Bastian and support Switch Indie Fix, make sure you go over to switchindiefix.com/99-vidas. It should come up with that, and give it a read. Let us know on Twitter, again at Switch Indie Fix, what you think of the review. But as I said, there is quite a bit of indie news this week, which is exciting. So let's get on with the news. And this week there are 6 items on the list. That's half a baker's dozen. And the first one was quite interesting news, I thought, because I didn't actually know that the studio was working towards this on the Switch. But the first news story is cross-platform play may be coming to Paladins in 2019. So, Hi-Red Studios, the developers of the game, released a statement earlier this week about their plans to bring cross-platform play to the Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, the plans have actually been delayed. They're pushing it back into later in the year. But it's kind of exciting to see that they are still working towards this. So the devs hope to have the feature implemented by update 2.02, which should be released later this year. They kind of came out and said that this is like a direct quote, we want to do it right, not do it quick, and we're going to need a little more time to properly execute this massive leap forward. This is exciting news. Reading into the article, the statement they made on the website, they're looking into making cross-platform play between Xbox One and Nintendo Switch first, and then between PC and Xbox. So it kind of shows again, like with Minecraft, like with Fortnite, that Nintendo and Microsoft seem to be working really closely together on this idea, this like philosophy that games should be able to be played anywhere, and that if you have a friend on Xbox but you both have the same game, that you should be able to play together, which I think is really cool. It's kind of telling that Sony isn't involved with it just yet, but with the pressure that they had over Fortnite, maybe they'll also get involved later. I think they were planning to bring it out relatively soon in the year, in the next update, which I guess is 2.01. But they said that basically that they're looking to polish the game more with this update, and like I said, they're looking at needing a bit more time, which I think is good because it's kind of like a big leap. Fortnite did it, Minecraft has done it, but they're owned by Epic and Microsoft, so they have like huge resources behind them. So this is the first kind of independent dev that we've seen do it, and nevertheless they have a big game with Paladins, especially on the Switch, since Overwatch isn't there yet. But I'm excited to see what they do and if it works, and jumping on and playing with people from all over, which doesn't matter which platform they're on. So yeah, that's very exciting news in general for gaming, and I thought I'd add it in there. Story number 2 is The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus gets a new booster pack. So if you don't know what the booster packs are, they're basically fan-made content that ends up being so good that they put it actually into the game. So basically fans can mod The Binding of Isaac. There's almost like a process, I guess. Like, I think it's kind of like Steam Greenlight, where you make a mod, you release it to the community kind of plays it, reviews it, gives feedback on it, and if the community likes it and Edmund McMillan likes it, there's a chance that it's going to be put into one of these new booster packs that gets released, I think, every year. and I believe this is the first one to come out on the Switch. So it's exciting to see that the Switch is getting these updates. I believe it's been out on PC for a while. The booster pack, I think that's the second one on there. But yeah, so it was confirmed by Nicholas that Edmund Macmillan's roguelike mega game, The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, has been updated with a ton of new content, including a new character called the Forgotten. The booster pack has already been released for the US eShop version of the game, so if you have a US account, you can already play the booster pack. But the team behind The Binding of Isaac, they're still waiting for confirmation from the European side. So if you're in Europe and you play the game and you don't have a US account, you can't play the booster pack yet. But yeah, it basically adds, like I said, the most noteworthy addition is the new character, the Forgotten. But it also adds new items, new trinkets, I believe, new kind of like synergies between the items, and I think it's really cool that it's a free update and that it also is made by fans. So I think Edmund Macmillan's kind of said that he's done with The Binding of Isaac. I know he's working on The Legend of Bumbo and another game. He did the Isaac card game, I know, via Kickstarter. I think they're working on something else, but I can't remember. But yeah, he's kind of through with it, but he released the modding tools to let the community do it. The community, there's like a very strong Binding of Isaac community because the game has, so much replayability. It's so like mechanically perfect almost. People still love to play it, they love to mod it, and these mods can be put into the game, which is really cool. So yeah, if you're a modder and you like the Binding of Isaac, there's a chance that you can get your own creations in the game. And yeah, like I said, it's kind of cool to see the Switch getting these updates too. Like I always feel like PC always gets the updates to games, like PC games, and sometimes console versions kind of lose out. Like they release a vanilla version and just leave it at that. But it's nice to see that the Binding of Isaac is also getting these cool new updates. News story number 3 is that Oli games are coming to the Nintendo Switch. So via a listing on the North American eShop, indie hits Oli and Oli 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch in the form of a neat little bundle. Oli Switch Stance, which I think is a good name, will be coming to the Switch on February 14th. That's Valentine's Day, so if your Valentine is a skateboarding kind of fan, maybe you can gift them this game you can't gift them the game on the eShop, but maybe you can buy them this game on the eShop, and it will cost $14.99. If you've never heard of Oli, it was, again, kind of one of these like very early indie games that got very big. It's like a 2D, kind of like an endless runner, but instead of running, you're riding a skateboard, and there's like obstacles that you can use to do tricks on. You do the tricks, you build up a combo meter, and I think a lot of it is kind of like, you don't really want to touch the ground. If you touch the ground, you lose a combo, so it's about linking the combo together, linking the tricks together, grinding, manualing, trying to get the highest score possible. I think I've never played one, but I've seen quite a few like YouTubers play them. They seem very like addictive, very score based, so if you're into that, it might be a cool game for you. The art style's very minimalistic, but I think it looks very colourful, and it's like once you fall off, you die and have to restart the level, and I think the death animations always look very funny. So yeah, if you're a skateboarding fan, it might be worth checking out. I also think it's cool, again, that one of these like OG indie games is coming to the Switch, like with like Guacamelee and what else? What other game? OG indie games, like, well, The Binding of Isaac is one. Yeah, like these kind of games that came out around 2014, 2015 that really blew up on the indie scene, like Bastion as well is another good example, that they're all slowly making their way to the Switch. I guess, yeah, a lot of these developers are hopefully using these Switch releases as a means to finance their next projects, which is cool. So yeah, it's always nice to support these older indie games, even though it could be argued that the price might be a bit high for a game that's like, 5 years old now. I guess technically you're getting 2 games, but sometimes I find it like quite frustrating that you can buy these 2 games here for $15, but you could probably go into Steam and get them both for like $6. But there's like work has to be put into the port. Sometimes it have to be up-res, like from like especially mobile ports. They have to be put into HD, which costs money. So I usually don't mind playing these games and paying a bit extra for them. Like my game of the year last year was Hyperlight Drifter Special Edition, because it's a game I'd never ever played. I think I may have bought it on a Steam sale years ago, but never played it, and then bought it on the Switch and absolutely loved it. So yeah, sometimes these price tags are worth the asking price. Story number 4 is Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom is killing it on Switch. So shared on Twitter by the game's publishers, FDG Entertainment, Monster Boy is selling at a ratio of 8-1, better on the Nintendo Switch than on other consoles. So it basically means that the game is selling 8 times better than... They're selling 8 times more copies on the Switch than they are on the other consoles, and on PC. So it's important to note, that the game is out on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Switch. The Switch sales are like skyrocketing, which is really cool. And I think, again, it kind of shows that Switch owners buy games, which is really cool. Especially indie games, and especially it's always nice to see these well-made indie games that have had a lot of effort put into them selling really well, because again, it gives the devs and the publishers the means to create more indie games. And another example was from one of FDG's developers, Castle Pixel. They made Blossom Tales on the Switch and on the other platforms, and the Switch sales basically saved the developers from going under. So I always love these stories. I always love kind of showing, indie games are still selling well on the Switch. Everyone was kind of worried that there would be a dip, that there was almost a gold rush for indie game developers to get their game on Switch as quick as possible before the market became so saturated with all these like I say, like some like bad mobile ports, bad Steam ports. But I guess it kind of shows like that Switch fans mostly aren't. They don't just buy anything, like they do buy quality, and I'm sure a lot of those mobile ports do get good sales too. But it is always nice to see these really good games selling well, and it's a game I still haven't beat. I need to go back and finish it, because I feel like I'm close to the end, but I think I hit a wall and kind of lost a bit of patience with it. But I do need to go back and beat Monster Boy in the Cursed Kingdom. Story number 5 is My Time at Portia is confirmed for the Nintendo Switch and is getting a physical version. So Team 17, in part of a kind of marketing push about what games they're going to be publishing in 2019, confirmed last week that their upcoming sandbox RPG, My Time at Portia, will be coming to the Nintendo Switch in spring. So I would say spring, I guess it's from maybe March to May time period. And it will also be getting a physical edition on the Switch. So I just kind of copied and pasted the kind of publicity, the promo for the game, if you don't know what it is. So it says, arriving in the enchanting town of Portia, you'll be able to start a new life and set to work restoring your pa's neglected workshop to its former glory. Armed with your pa's workshop handbook and workbench, you must gather, mine, and craft your way to be crowned the number 1 workshop in the whole of Portia. So it's inspired by games like Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, Dark Cloud 2, and the magic and I guess like kind of the art style of Studio Ghibli. It kind of feels like a 3D, or looks like, I should say, a 3D Stardew Valley. Like you start off, or Harvest Moon, obviously. You start off with like a rundown shop. You collect resources, rebuild your shop, maybe interact with people in the town. I think there's quite a bit of exploration to the game as well. And it was a game I think I've reported about it before on the podcast, but I can't remember why. But anyway, maybe they just said it was coming to Switch, and now they've confirmed it. So that's exciting news for anyone who is a Stardew Valley fan or a Harvest Moon fan and is looking for something new to play. Team 17. Like I said last week, I just played Yoko's Island Express, which I think they published. So there's a lot of pedigree to Team 17. There's also like another famous indie game that they published, but I can't think of it now. But they seem to be a good publisher. They seem to be on a roll at the minute, so I'm excited to see what happens with My Time at Portia. And the final story for this week, which is a little bit random, I think, is legendary arcade series Dragon's Lair is coming to the Nintendo Switch next week. Yeah, you heard me right. The Dragon's Lair trilogy is getting an eShop release on the Nintendo eShop on January 17. I believe that's the European eShop. It's the only one that it's popped up in the coming soon tab for. So I'm not 100% sure about America or anywhere else. It might be in Australia as well. So yeah, you'll have to, I guess it varies where you are in the world. So the trilogy is going to include Dragon's Lair Space Ace and Dragon's Lair 2, and will be published by Digital Leisure. Yeah, I guess it's been kind of like not remastered, but like up-resed into HD. I know these games actually mostly from a Robot Chicken episode where they kind of did like a parody of Dragon's Lair. And I just know really like the art style and the death animation of the guy turning from skin and flesh into just a skeleton. And yeah, I thought it was kind of funny and random that it is coming to the Switch. I guess like the kind of maybe older nostalgic driven players will be picking it up. The gameplay, to be honest, I don't really know what it is. Digital Leisure, they put like a teaser trailer up on YouTube, and it just looked like a cartoon. So yeah, maybe let me know on Twitter what type of game Dragon's Lair is. Like, I think it looks a bit like a point and click adventure, but I know it was an arcade game, so I wonder if I don't know. I don't really know. So yeah, let me know. I just thought it was a funny game to be coming out. It kind of reminds me of those what were those real life the real life, anyway, there was like a horror game that was just released, and I think Limited Edition did they did a physical release of it, but I can't remember. Also, let me know what that game was called. But yeah, there seems to be a market for them, so yeah, why not bring Dragon's Lair over to the Switch as well? So guys, that was the news for this week. Like I said, it's the most stories we've had in a couple of months, which is nice. Yeah, the news cycle seems to be picking up with the new year kind of getting into swing. Everyone's back at work now. Press releases are getting sent, and yeah, it's exciting for indie games to see what will be coming for 2019. And speaking of 2019, I'm starting a new feature on switchindiefix.com which is basically outlining the best looking games to me that are coming, or the best looking indie games I should say, that are coming to the Switch every month. So this episode I want to kind of run through some of the games that are coming to the Nintendo Switch in January, the games that I'm most looking forward to. So yeah, this is our section 2, our conversation portion, and we're going to be talking about the best indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch in January. So 2 of these games are actually already released. They came out on Thursday. I'm recording on Sunday. I downloaded one. The other one I haven't picked up yet. But the first one is Lightseekers. So like I said, it came out on the 10th of January, which was a Thursday. It's developed and published by PlayFusion Limited. It's actually a free game. So that's always nice, just to at least try a game out. If you download it for free, if you don't like it, you can delete it. If you do like it, you can keep playing. Funnily enough, I actually backed Lightseekers, I think 2 years ago on Kickstarter. Back then, it was basically an iPad, I think iPad/iOS game, where they were kind of on the tail end of the Toy to Life craze, and yeah, I was very interested to see how it would work out for them, because they basically wanted to do all sorts. It was all about they had these toys that were kind of smart toys, so they knew each toy basically came with a weapon and armor, and you could basically take things away and put things on and in the game, kind of with Star Atlas. I think it's Star Atlas. Yeah, it would know, okay, you switch weapons out, and then the weapons would appear in the game. And you could even use the toy as a controller. So there's in some parts of the game there was flying mechanics. So you could use it as a controller, and it would have tilt controls, so you could kind of almost control the action figure. And I actually tidied it up, but it was behind me for a long time because I took some Instagram pictures with the action figure. Tyrax, I think he's called. He's like an orange dinosaur. Yeah, but they had that, and then they also had a card game element to it, which was augmented reality. So if you scanned it, if you kind of open the app, aim your phone at it, you would see a 3D image pop up on the screen. of the whatever was on the card, which was cool. Then there was also like an RPG game to it, which kind of felt a bit light to me. Like I didn't play that much of it. It didn't really hold my interest because I was kind of hoping that it would come to the Switch. And yeah, it has, but it came. I guess they've kind of like split their priorities now. Like the game that's coming to the Switch is Light Seekers, but it's the like digital card version of the game. So yeah, I think I downloaded it. Haven't played it yet. Just the very early introduction. What's it called? The very early tutorial. And yeah, it's cool. It seems very like easy to learn but hard to master. And yeah, I kind of think that they're trying to get out as like the first card game on the Switch, which I think is a good idea. Like the first kind of competitive card game. The only thing that's annoying is that I think you always have to be online, even if you're playing. What's it called? Like single player. Like I think there's a single player campaign. So I wanted to play some this weekend whilst I was traveling. But couldn't because it needed online. So yeah, that's a very brief oversight of what Light Seekers is. It's basically a card game. Maybe if you're like a Hearthstone fan or you like these competitive card collection games, then it might be for you. It's free. It's already out, so go and check it out. The next game that is already out is called Bury Me My Love. This game was featured in the Kind of Funny showcase, Kind of Funny Games Daily Showcase, was it called? Anyway, it was featured in there. I think it's been out on Steam and on mobile for a while. It's developed by Pixel Hunt. The price is $4.99 on the eShop. And it basically is like a game where you play as a female Syrian refugee leaving Syria and trying to get to Europe. But the game is about her communicating with her husband back in Syria. So, yeah, just from the feel of the game, it seems like it's going to be a very sad game. It's described as a text messaging adventure game about Noah, a Syrian migrant trying to find her way to Europe. Really nice hand-drawn art style. Very cheap game that seems to be very narrative driven. And yeah, I think it looks interesting. It's a cheaper option for those of you that you might have spent you might have got some gift cards for Christmas and you still have a few euros or a few pounds left on it to spend. You could pick it up, or even if you have if you have some gold points saved up from any sales that you've been buying games, I think it's definitely worth picking up. Next up, which is coming out on July 17th, is Feudal Alloy. The developer is called Atu Games, but I believe it's just like a one-person development team, which is really cool. The price is $16.99, and this is a game which I've been watching pretty much since I started Switch Indie Fix. Like as always, like the games I'm most attracted to are usually games that I like the art style of. This one looked really cool, really colourful. You basically play as it's basically like a platformer / Metroidvania where you play as a fish controlling a robot. It has it's set in like a medieval time zone, but obviously as a robot, there's like a kind of like a steampunk feel to it. I love the art style. There seems to be tons of different weapons and armor sets to deck your fish robot out in. I think if you like Metroidvanias, if you like platformers, with like RPG mechanics in it, and like I think there's quite a heavy focus on combat, not to like Dark Souls level combat, but there seems to be a lot of combat in the game, kind of like I guess you compare it to Hollow Knight. Then Feudal Alloy may be for you, out on I guess it's Thursday the 17th of Jan. Also coming out on the 17th of January is Y2K, a Postmodern Rpg. This is developed by Axe Studios and is going to cost you $19.99. This is another game, but it's a RPG. It's a Western RPG. How should I say? It's a Western take on a JRPG that's set in like the 90s with a surreal story and like a funny surreal cast of characters. So if you are like I guess maybe not. It's maybe not the best game to get into. But if you like the idea of JRPGs, but you don't always like the story or the fantasy aspect of it, this might be a game that you'd enjoy, because I think it has a story that's like based in reality. But then I think this because of the 90s, there's a lot of like 90s. I don't know, like influences on it that kind of make it a bit weird. Like it maybe involves like drugs or something that makes you surreal, and like the weapons are like traffic cones or vinyls that you throw at people. So it kind of is a little bit like a Saturday morning RPG. But yeah, it has a cool kind of 90s looking polygon art style that looks obviously a lot nicer than like the PlayStation 1 used to look. But I like that they've kind of taken that look and tried to make it modern, which I really like. It's the game offers 30 hours worth of gameplay, even has tracks produced by Undertale developer Toby Fox. And I think like I said, it's a perfect game for a JRPG fan or someone who's looking into getting into longer RPGs, and something to keep you busy at the very start of this year. Next up is Jack Quest Tale of the Sword. The game's coming out on the 24th of January. It's developed by NX Games and published by Blowfish Games. Price is $9.99. And this is a game, if you've listened to some of the previous episodes of the Switch Indie Fix that I reported on a while ago, that it was coming to the Switch. I'm excited that it's finally getting a release. I actually took this from Nintendo Everything, which kind of describes the game. It says, undertake a rescue mission to save Jack's beloved Nana from the revolting orc Korg, who captured the fair maiden and dragged her away to his subterranean lair. Journey into the caves and discover Kurno, a spirit imprisoned inside an enchanted blade. The unlikely duo of Jack and Kura adventure into an underground labyrinth to liberate Nara, defeat the crazed captor, and perhaps even break the curse over Kura. It's set in a large interconnected world. There's a lot of puzzles, a lot of power-ups, special abilities, cool weapons to help Jack, and I guess Kuro get through the game. I also saw that the developers are very keen on making a speedrun game, which is interesting because usually like you don't see these kind of indie RPGs have like a speedrun element, but it's nice to see that that's something they're looking at. Again, the art style looks cool. It's very reminiscent of like Final Fantasy VII in some ways, because the character Jack, his sword is like so much huger. Like it reminds me a lot of Cloud's swords. It's like really, it's all pixel art. It looks really nice. A game that I think, when there's not so much else coming out this month or so much big, it might be something that you could spend a lot of time in, and like I say, if you get really good, maybe you'd even want to try and speedrun it. And the final game I have on my list is Downwell, developed by Ojito Fumoto and Devolver Digital. The price, I couldn't find the price yet, but I imagine it's not that expensive. It might be a cheaper game. Devolver Digital are releasing their indie gem Downwell on the Nintendo Switch. If you love arcade gameplay mixing with difficult platforming and road-like procedurally generated levels, then you will love Downwell. And if you don't know what Downwell is, it's basically a game where you play as a character that jumps down a well. So the whole gameplay is almost played in like a tape mode, so like vertically, and the character is falling down a well, and you control him as he falls. And as he falls, there might be enemies or ledges that if your character hits the ground, then he dies and you start the level again. And like I said, it's procedurally generated, so each run you do is going to be different to the last. So there's no way of like memorizing, okay, I know where I am in the level. And it's like very arcade based in that you're trying to get like a high score, but it also has like roguelike elements that you are looking for like good items that can help you progress through your run. So the most famous one from the game is the rocket boots, that I think they let you like bounce off enemies, which you can then like combo into getting like falling faster, or it even lets you like somehow land on ledges, but it won't kill you kind of things. And also like different items that have different abilities, like I think there's even like a jetpack. If you're like a person that likes mechanic driven games, then Downwell is definitely for you. I think it's a lot of skill, a lot of luck, and also a lot of, what did I just say? I just had the thought in my head. A lot of skill, a lot of luck, and a lot of like practice, I guess, and a lot of patience, I think, because I think it's quite a difficult game, but it's one of those ones where you see yourself getting better with every run, hopefully, like all good rogue games should do. They should slowly make you better at the game so that you can get further. And and that is all the games, or my list of best indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch in January. Let me know if there's any you think I've missed. Like I said, I made a post about this on switchindiefix.com, so if you are looking for a bit more of a detailed look into it, then please go check out the post. And let me know what you think of my list and what games you might add. And if you are looking forward to any games in February, that would be really awesome too. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter or join our Discord. And you let me know what games you're looking forward to in February. And the final thing I kind of want to talk about very briefly in our conversation portion is my initial thoughts on the Banner Saga 2. So, Banner Saga 2, I already was, I guess it was like October time last year, I played Banner Saga 1 on the Switch. Really liked it, but kind of felt like it was a kind of little bit underwhelming, especially in the fact that I didn't feel like your decisions really mattered that much in the game. Like, I felt like it was kind of, it had a starting point and an ending point, and kind of whatever happened in the middle didn't really matter that much because you always ended at the same point. I played maybe like about 40 minutes of Banner Saga 2. It's more Banner Saga. I think the thing I do like about it, and what I think is very different, is that it actually has like a tutorial mode that is like quite interactive and interesting to play. The other one did as well, but it was very much like, okay, here's a pop-up of all the information you might need to know, and that was it, which you could easily just skip through too, which Banner Saga 2 has as well. But what I really like is that they've tried to put a focus on combat, which was always the most difficult part of the game. And it's kind of nice because now you have this training camp in your camp, which you had again in the first one, but in this training camp you have a trainer who basically puts you in a battle scenario and gives you objectives that you have to meet before either you kill all the enemies or all the enemies kill you. So it's kind of slowly teaching you, okay, if you put all your characters together, then you can create a shield wall which gives characters that are in the shield wall like a defensive buff, which I kind of knew from the first game, but I didn't know exactly what it did, the shield wall. So I never really used to do it that much. Or then there was like factors that you could, like with an archer, if you get an enemy's armor down to a certain point, you can kind of like sniper shot the enemy with the archer and kill him in one hit, which again I didn't really know. Like, I always noticed that, okay, why is the archer doing so much damage all of a sudden? But now it kind of tells you why. So I'm kind of like looking forward to getting more into the story. Obviously, it's basically so far it's just been a recap mostly of what the first game was. Kind of like the characters coming to terms with what happened at the end of the last game, and you can kind of see that it I think Age of Boredom said one time on the podcast that it's 3 games, but it's one story told throughout the game. So now I think the first game you finished on chapter 8, and now you start with chapter 9. So it's like a continuation. So it's really like, okay, you pretty much pick up at the same point you left off us. You can import your save from the first game, which I did. So all my decisions from the first game play a role in this game. But if you've never played the first one, or say you played the first one on PlayStation or PC, you have like a decision, like, okay, if you did this, what in this circumstance, what would you do? And that kind of like generates your kind of save as close as it can for the game. So like I said, it's more Banner Saga, a little bit more not hand-holdy, but a bit more kind of intuitive, which I like, and I'm looking forward to getting into more battles and actually feeling like the battles are strategic instead of kind of hoping that, okay, I can usually brute force my way through them, and even if I don't, then I lose, and I always felt like the consequences weren't that drastic in the game. So that was my brief thoughts on Banner Saga 2. So this is a section break, just to remind you that the podcast is brought to you by switchindiefix.com/Discord. If you want to join the conversation and talk about all things indie on the Nintendo Switch, come over and join the Switch IndieFix Discord. Always a nice place to hang out. Lots of people talking nice things, not just Nintendo, not just Switch over there. So if you are an indie game fan or you just enjoy the podcast and want to talk about the podcast, then please hit us up on Discord and come say hello. So moving on to the very last section, and it is our question section. I just want to remind you guys, you can submit your own questions to the show. Just go to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast. Like I said, it's a link, takes you to a Google form. You just type in your new username if you want to, and then whatever your question is, just like Age of Boredom did this week, or maybe last week. And he actually asked 2 questions. So the first question he asked is, what's the most overrated indie game you played last year? So from 2018. And I think this might be a hot take or very controversial, but the most overrated game I think I played last year was Undertale. And I kind of have to state, okay, I haven't finished the game yet. Like I realize the game is usually seen as like, okay, there's the 2 runs, there's the passive run, or the pacifist I should say, and the genocide run. I'm pretty much close to the end, I think, of the pacifist. I have to fight the spider. Her name forgets me, begins with M. But I kind of messed up because I learned that, okay, if you buy a donut earlier in the game, you can just give it a donut and she doesn't attack you. I use the donut for health because being the pacifist, you don't have much health, and sometimes some of the boss battles are quite difficult. But I enjoyed the game. I think it's clever. I think it's interesting, and it's very kind of it moves video games on. I think as a genre, as a medium, it's very like kind of almost fourth wall breaking, and it kind of it's very tongue in cheek. Like I think it knows exactly what it is. It's funny. But I just don't think it's like a 10 out of 10 game. Like I think it's okay. Like not okay. I think it's a good game. I think it's a great game. I just don't think it's like amazing and like, you know, game of the year material. It's I don't know. It always surprises me what happens in the game, which I think is funny, and it's very like almost like memey, in the way that it's like you expect something to happen, and then Toby Fox kind of messes you with you a lot in the game, which I kind of like as well. But yeah, for me, it's not like a game that I think is a 10 out of 10, and it's a game that I've picked up many times, tried to play like a little bit, got to a point, and then just kind of left it for a few weeks. It's like a game where I usually, when I don't know what else to play, I'm like, oh, okay, I should kind of chip away a bit more at Undertale. And it's not even like a very long game, which is quite frustrating. Like, again, especially during the pacifist run, I don't like the battle system, especially with a joystick. I think moving the heart around in that little box is like overly difficult. And I know originally it was designed for ADSD, but with a joystick, like, I just feel like sometimes the hitboxes are off, and I'm getting hit when I shouldn't, and sometimes when I feel like I've hit a green heart that it hasn't counted and stuff like that. So yeah, my most overrated game from last year was Undertale. What do you guys think? Did you play a game last year that you really didn't appreciate as much as like the video game press or some of your friends? If you did, let me know over on Twitter or join the Discord. And Age of Boredom's second question this week is, are your favorite game genres to play the same as your favorite game genres to watch on YouTube or Switch? I think that's like an interesting question, because I don't know, like, I feel apart from Age of Boredom, who, like, if you want a guy who makes great content, like great quality content, great let's plays, and is focused on the Nintendo Switch, then you should definitely go check out youtube.com/Age of Boredom, because I feel like now YouTube, or at least most of the YouTube I watch, I actually don't watch that much gameplay. A lot of it is mostly like podcasts or people like Jim Sterling that are kind of critiquing the video games and the video games industry, and giving their opinion on it. But yeah, Age of Boredom, he definitely his series and his Let's Plays, I always enjoy watching, because it is like more of like a traditional Let's Play of like he's just sitting down with a game, playing through it from start to finish, having a laugh as he plays through it. So yeah, I definitely recommend him if you are interested in watching gaming content. But no, like, I guess sometimes, yeah, it depends on my moods. Sometimes I tend to not ever watch like narrative driven games on Twitch, because I'm always worried that, okay, I don't want the game to be spoiled for me, because maybe in the future I might play it, and I don't want the big kind of points to be ruined. A lot of games, like I do watch a lot of roguelites on Twitch, because I feel like you can't really be spoiled in a roguelike, and like every run is different, so I feel like every video is a little bit different. And I think I spoke about him before, Northern Lion, he plays a lot of Binding of Isaac and Slay the Spire, and he did Dead Cells, and like every big roguelike that's been released, he's kind of had a series on. And I always like his content, because roguelikes, I feel like they're always kind of a bit fresh, and they're always evergreen content. On Twitch itself, again, I watch a guy called Dan Giesling, and he really plays genres that I don't play. Like, he plays Dark Souls and Escape from Tarkov, which is like a first-person battle royale kind of. It's Escape from Tarkov. Yeah, it's basically you enter a map, you try and loot as much as you can, and then you try and get out of the map with all your loot. But there's obviously other players and like AI players in the map as well that are trying to kill you. So it's very much like a high risk, high reward kind of game. And yeah, it's definitely a game I'd never ever play. But and it's not really a game, like, I enjoy watching it, but I more enjoy watching it for him. And another example is sometimes I'll flick onto Ninja when he's streaming. Like, if I feel like, okay, there's nothing on YouTube I want to watch, or there's nothing on Netflix, and then I'll just put Ninja on in the background, because his skill is just so amazing to watch. Like, most other Fortnite streamers, I don't really care. Like, I feel like they cater to an audience that isn't really me. But Ninja, yeah, he's such like a great player, and to be honest, I like that he doesn't really talk at all, so you are really just watching him play, which I enjoy. And like other content, I like kind of finding out about games via YouTube. So like, again, Northern Line, he covers indies, and he plays a range of games, but mostly indies. And he always has like a Let's Try series where he plays like games that he just does one episode on them to kind of see how it is, and to kind of tell you about this game that might be coming to Steam that week or whatever, or a game that he finds interesting. And they're usually games that I then kind of check off in my head, like, okay, when that comes to Switch, then maybe I want to check it out, or I'm like, okay, when it comes to Switch, I don't need to check it out because it doesn't interest me. So yeah, I'd say yes and no. I think a lot of my YouTube and Twitch consumption is more about the character, whoever's playing the games, and a lot of the time that doesn't. I don't really mind what games they play, but sometimes it works out. Like with Age of Boredom, I feel like he always plays games that I'm interested in, and that's how I kind of found out about him, because I was interested in Floor Kids, and when I typed in Floor Kids to YouTube, his channel came up with a review, and that's kind of how I got into him. And now he's playing Donut County, which I reviewed, and which is a really fun Let's Play to watch. He's got, I think, a Battle Chef Brigade Let's Play coming out soon as well. So if you also like indies and Nintendo Switch, then you should definitely go check him out. So that, guys, was episode 19 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. I'm actually recording this outro again because, again, my microphone keeps messing up. I don't know why. But anyway, I want to thank you all for listening. It's really cool that you all tuned in. The podcast will go up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as soon as I can after the show. It also goes up on Pocket Casts, so make sure you check it out there. Please, guys, be sure to review it wherever you can. The reviews always help new people find the podcast. If you want to get in contact, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at SwitchIndieFix, or join the Discord server at switchindiefix.com/Discord. Just a gentle reminder, guys, my other podcast, Generation 8 Pokemon podcast, went live yesterday, episode 3. I had Rebecca on, who is a diehard Pokemon fan, and we talked a little bit about what our dream Pokemon, or our dream Generation 8 Pokemon game would be. So if you're interested in Pokemon, make sure you check out Generation 8 Pokemon podcast. And yeah, another reminder, make sure you go and check out 99 Vidas, the review Bastian wrote for me on switchindiefix.com. So thanks everyone for listening. I hope you all had a great weekend, and I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next time.